Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm really glad you're joining us today because this deep dive, it's going to be a bit different. We're stepping back from, our usual focus on market optimization or trend analysis. We're going internal. We are diving into a topic that I think touches nearly every single person listening right now, no matter what their income is.
Yeah.
And that's the deep, constant, and often kind of secret anxiety that surrounds money.
That's exactly right. Today, we're really focusing on this fundamental human need for safety and how our finances just intersect so directly with our mental health.
Right.
I mean, if you've ever been lying there in bed at 2 or 3 in the morning, just staring at the ceiling, and your brain is just racing through all the worst case scenarios.
Ooh, the mental math.
The car breaks down, the card gets declined, that unexpected bill shows up in the mail. If you know that feeling, that specific tight-chested panic, then you know exactly what we're talking about today.
It's not just worrying, is it? It's a physical feeling. It's this visceral fear of instability. And that little spiral that starts with one thought and ends with you imagining, total financial ruin before you've even had your coffee.
And that feeling drives so much of our behavior.
Right.
Right? It's either, obsessively checking your bank app for a little hit of control,
or the opposite.
Or the opposite, refusing to look at your statements for weeks, for months, because the thought is just too overwhelming to even deal with. That feeling is what we call money fear. And our whole mission today is explicitly not about getting rich quick or maximizing your returns. We're talking about how to build enough structure, enough clarity so that you can actually go to sleep.
Right.
So you can sleep without that constant low-level hum of financial dread.
Wow.
We're building what we call sleep well money.
I love that term, sleep well money. It perfectly captures the appeal. And you operate in such a unique space here. You're a certified financial planner, but you're also a licensed therapist.
Yeah.
So when clients first come to you, I'm guessing they're not talking about spreadsheets and 401k allocations, are they?
Almost never. I mean, the financial industry, it loves to focus on optimization, all the shoulds of investing in savings rates. But people who are in that state of acute anxiety, they lead with emotion.
Of course.
They say things like, I just want to stop feeling scared all the time. Or I want to stop waking up thinking about bills. Or, I'm just so tired of this knot in my stomach every time I have to swipe my card.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling. Their deepest request is just, help me feel safe. They're looking for a stable floor, not a higher ceiling.
And that contrast really highlights where so much of traditional finance advice kind of misses the mark, doesn't it? It assumes the main goal is maximizing wealth. But for most people, the main goal is just reducing fear.
Exactly. Most people aren't aiming for a luxury mansion. They're just aiming for the certainty that if life throws a totally normal, expected curveball, a sudden trip to the doctor, a car repair,
A flat tire,
that their whole life won't just be completely derailed. That peace of mind, that's the baseline emotional requirement just to function day to day.
And you really came to this work, this merging of structure and emotion from your own life, which I think is going to resonate with so many people who grew up seeing that kind of instability firsthand.
It absolutely did. I grew up in a household that was profoundly paycheck to paycheck. My parents worked so hard, multiple jobs sometimes, but there was just zero margin.
Yeah.
Zero.
Wow.
And money felt like this constant source of tension, of instability. I can still remember sitting in the hallway, outside their room, hearing them whispering anxiously about whether the rent check would clear before the utility bill was due.
And you absorb that as a kid. That fear becomes part of the air you breathe.
It does. It infiltrates the house. And the lesson you learn, the deep lesson is, money is chaos. Money is scary and volatile, and you have to worry about it constantly. And the defining moment for me, the real turning point, was years later. I had done everything I was supposed to do. I got the education, the degrees, built a successful practice. My income was multiples higher than my family's ever was.
So on paper, you were fine. More than fine.
On paper, I was great. I had significant cash in the bank. I paid my bills on time. I had investments. And yet, I was still waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart pounding, completely convinced that I was just one bad decision away from total financial catastrophe.
So even though the numbers in your bank account had changed, your nervous system hadn't gotten the memo. It was still running that old program.
Precisely. The system was still running the childhood programming. Danger, instability is right around the corner. And that was this huge moment for me where I realized income alone is not the cure for financial anxiety. I had enough money, but I lacked internal structural safety. I didn't trust my system because, well, I didn't really have one. I was just hoping the money lasted. I remember so clearly my car broke down on the freeway. It was a minor thing, an $800 repair. Intellectually, I knew I had like $10,000 in savings. But my body went into a full-blown panic.
Like you were back in that childhood home.
It felt just like that.
Yeah.
And that physical response, despite having the money, that proved to me that the system was the problem, not the amount.
Okay, so that is a core insight. That's something we really have to anchor this whole deep dive around. You cannot just earn your way out of financial anxiety.
You really, truly cannot. I mean, earning more is helpful, of course. It's necessary for a lot of people. But more money without any defined boundaries or structure or a clear purpose, it often just leads to what I call bigger chaos.
Bigger chaos. That sounds so counterintuitive to someone who's struggling right now. Break that down for us. How does more money create more chaos?
Okay, think of it this way. When you're living hand to mouth, you have this intense clarity, right? Every single dollar is for survival.
Right. It's spoken for. Rent, food.
It's spoken for. When your income suddenly goes up, two things happen. First, lifestyle creep. You start spending more because you can, often without really thinking about it. And second, you start making these big, vague goals. I should invest. I should save. I need to pay off debt. But because there's no clear automated system, all that money just sits in one big checking account.
And that's the danger zone.
That's the danger zone.
Yeah.
Because when that account balance looks huge, you might accidentally spend, say, $5,000 on a spontaneous vacation. And then you realize, oh, wait, that was the money for my quarterly taxes or a big insurance premium?
And you're right back in that high-stakes panic.
You're right back there. The anxiety hasn't gone away. It just targets bigger ticket items. The chaos just scales up with the number of zeros.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And that's why the structure is so key.
Yeah.
So let's get really clear on what Sleep Well Money, or SWM, actually is. What are the main components?
So SWM, it's really a state. It's a state of psychological and structural safety. And you get there when four key elements are in place. First, you have clarity. You actually know what your essential monthly expenses are, not a guess.
The real number.
The real number. Second, you have a buffer, some kind of financial cushion between you and immediate disaster. Third, you have systems, a basic structure that runs on autopilot, so you're not relying on willpower all the time.
And the fourth.
And fourth, you have a rough plan. You know what you would do if something went really wrong. When you have those four things, your brain finally gets the evidence it needs to quiet down.
So it's the difference between just hoping nothing goes wrong and actually knowing what's going on and what your next step is. It's about predictability.
It is. I love the analogy of a house. Sleep Well Money isn't about building a mansion. It's about having a solid foundation, doors that actually lock, and a roof that doesn't leak every single time it rains.
It's shelter. It's a place where you can actually rest.
A place you can genuinely relax. Yeah, knowing the basic structure is sound.
And we have to stress this again, right? You do not have to be rich to start building this. You don't even have to be debt-free.
Absolutely not. That myth is so paralyzing for people. I'm telling you, even the smallest steps here are profound. Just having an extra $200 or $300 for the first time in your adult life can fundamentally change the quality of your sleep.
It's a huge psychological leap.
It's massive. You move from zero security to some security, and that is a different world.
So let's talk about why that leap is so big. Why does money fear feel so huge, so out of proportion sometimes?
Because it's primal. Money isn't just paper or numbers on a screen. It's a direct proxy for survival. It's food, it's shelter, it's warmth, it's medical care.
Right.
So if your money situation feels threatened, your ancient reptilian brain doesn't see it as a missed payment. It sees it as an existential threat. A threat to your actual life.
And you've pointed out before that the system in the US really amplifies this feeling, right? The stakes feel astronomically high here.
It's so critical to acknowledge that. The instability baked into the US system translates financial worries directly into life or death questions for your nervous system.
How so?
Well, think about it. Losing your job often means you instantly lose your health insurance. So now you have a loss of income and a loss of access to medical care. Catastrophic medical bills are a leading cause of bankruptcy. Rent can go up suddenly, dramatically. You layer that on top of crippling student debt or credit card balances, and your nervous system is just constantly scanning for threats. It's asking, am I safe? Will I be okay if something goes wrong? Is there a net? And for many, the answer feels like no.
So when your brain picks up on a financial threat, it triggers the exact same stress response as if you saw like a bear in the woods.
Exactly. Fight, flight, or freeze. The physical stuff is unavoidable. Your heart races, your chest gets tight, your breathing gets shallow.
And how does that show up in our behavior?
Well, the freeze response, that looks like avoiding your mail, procrastinating on opening your bank statements, pretending bills don't exist. The fight response can look like obsessively checking your accounts, or arguing constantly about money, or even making impulsive, desperate decisions.
And people feel so much shame about that behavior, the procrastination, the avoidance.
But it's just a nervous system response, period. Especially if you grew up in chaos evictions, overdrafts, constant fights about bills. Your body learned very early on that financial topics are dangerous. You're not bad with money. You are reacting logically to the threat signals your past programmed into you.
So building these systems, this structure, it's actually a therapeutic act.
It is, because the structure provides reliable, repeated evidence that contradicts that old panic programming.
It sends a new message.
It sends a new message. Every time you track an expense, every time you see that automated $10 transfer hit your savings, you're sending a new, calm, reliable message to your deepest self that says, we're paying attention, we are building safety systematically, one step at a time.
Okay, I love that. So let's start building. Let's start with the safety ladder. Level 1.
The safety ladder is all about eliminating overwhelm. You don't look at the top of the ladder, you just focus on the next rung. And level 1 is the most foundational of all. Know your real monthly essentials.
Okay.
We need a concrete, visible number for the absolute minimum you need to survive.
So how do we define essentials really rigorously? Because I feel like this is where people can get tripped up, including things they feel are essential but are actually wants.
Right. This calculation has to be a little harsh, but it's what gives you the floor. We're talking about the bare minimum for life to function, not your ideal lifestyle.
So what's on the list?
Rent or mortgage, basic utilities, water, electricity, basic internet, fuel level groceries, rice, beans, the absolute necessities, not gourmet cheese or takeout.
Okay.
Minimum payments on all your existing debt, essential insurance premiums, and any necessary medical costs or medication. That's it.
And what's explicitly excluded from that level 1 number?
You have to exclude all the discretionary stuff. Streaming services, new clothes, restaurants, gym memberships, any debt payments above the minimum. This number is your absolute floor. If that number comes out to, say, $2,500, that is the floor you are fighting to protect.
So what's the immediate psychological benefit of just knowing that number, even if it's scary?
It turns that vague, shapeless monster of all the bills into a single concrete target. Fear thrives in the unknown, right?
Right.
When you can see the monster on paper, it shrinks. You can say, okay, if I lost my job, I need to find $2,500. I know what the fight looks like now, and that knowledge is immediately grounding.
So the first piece of homework, that 20 minutes of discomfort, is just writing that number down.
Yes, that 20 minutes is the single most important first action. It might be scary, the number might be higher than you think, but you are choosing reality over anxiety-fueled fantasy. And once you have that number, you've established level 1. You have the bedrock.
Okay, level 1 is established. Now let's climb to level 2. Building that small buffer, the psychological cushion. This is where the advice gets a little different from the mainstream, right?
It does. Level 2 is about building your first small cushion. And this is where we have to defy that paralyzing advice to save 3 to 6 months of expenses right out of the gate.
Which is just impossible for so many people.
It feels impossible. If you have, say, $5,000 in credit card debt and $0 in savings, the idea of saving $10,000 just makes you want to give up before you even start.
Right. So let me play the skeptical listener here for a second. If I have $5,000 in debt at like 25% interest, the math says I should throw every single spare dollar at that debt. If I save $500 instead, aren't I just losing money to interest? Isn't that, financially irresponsible?
That is an excellent and a totally necessary question. And pure mathematics says, yes, you should tackle the high interest debt first. But we are not optimizing for math right now. We are optimizing for sleep and for behavioral consistency.
Okay.
That small amount of interest you'll pay on that $500 is a tiny, tiny price to pay for what you gain, which is psychological stability and crisis prevention.
So what does that look like in real life? How does it prevent a crisis?
Okay, so you have zero buffer, your car battery dies, it's $150. Your options are put it on the high interest credit card, adding to the problem, panic about overdrafting your checking account or, miss work and lose income, all of those options make your financial situation worse.
Right. They dig the hole deeper.
Exactly. But if you have $500 saved in a dedicated sleep well fund, you pay for the battery. No new debt, no panic, no risk to your income. That small cushion prevents a tiny disaster from spiraling into a big one, which would have undone all your hard work on the debt anyway.
So it's risk reduction. It keeps you on the rails so you can keep making progress.
It's structural safety. That's why we target small, concrete milestones. Start with $200, then $500, and then that first big psychological win, $1,000.
And that $1,000 mark is pretty significant.
It's huge. It covers, probably 90% of the minor, common, unexpected things that pop up in life.
And the action step here is to create a totally separate account, right? And to name it something specific.
Yes, immediately. Open a separate savings account and name it Sleep Well Fund or Safety Cushion or Breathe Fund, whatever resonates. It has to be dedicated solely to protecting you from those small punches.
The visual separation is key.
It's another layer of evidence for your brain that you are serious about building safety. That shift from zero buffer to some buffer moves your nervous system from constant alarm to a more cautious calm.
Okay, so we have level 1, clarity. Level 2, the small buffer for daily shocks. Let's move up to level 3, building a true emergency fund.
Level 3 is the longer game. This is where we start building towards those bigger goals you always hear about. We transition from aiming for a few $100s to aiming for 1 full month of your essentials, then 2 months, then 3.
So using that $2,500 example, our milestones become $2,500, then $5,000, then $7,500.
Exactly. It breaks down what feels like this intimidating mountain into 3 distinct measurable hills you can climb. And that incremental approach is so much better for your nervous system. 7,500 feels impossible. But getting to 2,500 when you already have 1,000, that feels hard but achievable.
And that 3-month mark is really where you feel a significant shift.
Oh, it's a profound shift. 3 months of expenses is typically the point where people feel this deep structural breathing room. It's the ability to conduct a calm, professional job search without desperation setting in. It's real security.
And where should this money live? It needs to be separate but still accessible, right?
It needs to be liquid, yes. It should be in a high-yield savings account, separate from your daily checking, ideally at a totally different bank even. The goal is to create a little bit of friction.
So you don't just dip into it on impulse.
Right. You want to see it. You want to know it's there, but you don't want to be able to transfer it back into your checking account with one thoughtless swipe on your phone. It needs to be a 2-step process, which gives your logical brain a chance to chime in and ask, is this really an emergency?
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's go to level 4, shock absorbers. This is for the stuff that no savings account, no matter how big, could really handle.
Level 4 is insurance. We have to reframe it. It's not just another bill. It's a crucial structural part of your sleep well money plan. We're talking about the truly catastrophic events that could wipe out years of savings in an instant.
Like a major illness or a fire.
A severe illness, a house fire, and unexpected death. These are the things that savings alone can't protect you from.
So what are the foundational shock absorbers everyone should have in place?
The basics are non-negotiable. Health insurance, and you need to know your deductible and out-of-pocket max. Auto insurance with adequate liability limits, and renters or homeowners insurance. And then crucially, for anyone who has dependents, a partner, kids, anyone who relies on their income,
Term life insurance.
basic term life insurance becomes a mandatory part of level 4 safety.
I think for a lot of younger people, especially with families, term life insurance feels like this morbid extra expense they can skip. Why is it so essential to frame it as a safety component?
Because it protects against the deepest fear, which is catastrophic loss for the people you love. Imagine you've saved $50,000, which is fantastic. If you pass away unexpectedly, that money might cover a funeral and a few months of bills, but then it's gone.
And your family is left vulnerable.
A basic, affordable term life policy, which is often surprisingly cheap when you're young and healthy, can provide, say, $250,000 or $500,000 of coverage for the cost of a couple of streaming services a month. It's a safety net for your family's entire financial future. It's the final defense against ruin.
So it's not a bill, it's an investment in their safety.
It is. It ensures that your level 3 savings can handle a job loss without also having to worry about a house fire or a medical crisis bankrupting you.
And that brings us to level 5, which is what most people think of when they hear the word finance.
Right. Level 5 is retirement investing, long-term growth, optimizing returns, all the 401k and brokerage account stuff. It's vital, but we place it here very intentionally.
Why less?
Because if you skip levels 1 through 4 to chase higher returns in level 5, you're building on sand. Your anxiety is reduced so much more by knowing you can cover rent next month than by knowing your long-term assets are slightly higher. Level 5 is the roof, but you can't build the roof until the foundation and walls are secure.
Okay, let's get super practical now. Let's talk about the structure that makes all of this work. The 3-account system.
The 3-account system is all about creating boundaries for your money. It physically enforces the rules of the safety ladder. So you need a bills account, an everyday spending account, and your sleep well fund.
So let's talk mechanics. How does the money flow on payday? This is where I think people get overwhelmed and the system breaks down.
The key is to automate it immediately. So you use your level 1 calculation, your essentials number. Let's stick with that $2,500 example. If your take-home pay is $4,000 a month, you know that 62.5% of your income is needed for essentials.
Okay.
Then you add your automated savings. Let's say you're aiming for $200 a month into your sleep well fund. That's another 5%. So in total, 67.5% of your paycheck is committed to safety before you even see it.
So on payday, that 67.5% automatically transfers out of whatever account your direct deposit hits.
Precisely. That money immediately splits. $2,500 goes to the bills account, $200 goes to the sleep well fund. The rest, the remaining $1,300 in this case, that's what goes into your everyday spending account. And because it's automated, it requires zero willpower. Safety gets funded first.
And that bills account is totally untouchable, right? It's just for those fixed essentials.
It's a vault. It only holds enough money to pay the rent, utilities, minimum debt payments, and insurance. It is all spoken for. You never ever swipe the card for this account for anything else.
And the beauty of the everyday spending account is that it creates a natural soft spending limit for you.
It creates immediate feedback. That $1,300 is what you have for the month for everything else. Groceries, gas, coffee, fun. If that account balance gets low halfway through the month, you don't have to do a bunch of mental math. The balance itself tells you, hey, slow down.
And you can't accidentally spend the rent money.
You literally can't. The rent money is sitting safely in the bills account, waiting to do its job.
And the sleep well fund is just that separate vault, quietly growing in the background.
Quietly, consistently growing. Because that transfer is automated, it doesn't rely on you feeling motivated, it just happens. And that's more proof to your nervous system that safety is being built.
And let's really emphasize that idea of consistency over magnitude. It's the tiny, regular drips that matter most.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. A one-time heroic effort where you save $500 is great, but it's a flash in the pan. Automating $20 every single Friday without fail creates a dependable rhythm.
It's boring in a good way.
It makes saving boring and predictable. And that quiet, reliable drip is what recalibrates your nervous system. It's a constant small win.
Let's apply this whole structure to those 3 real-life scenarios you laid out. Let's start with the single renter with credit card debt.
Okay, this is a super common situation. Let's say she's in her mid-20s, earns $48,000 a year, so her take-home is about $3,000 a month. She has $4,000 in credit card debt. Her level 1 essentials number is $2,200.
Okay, so she's got about an $800 margin, but that debt is probably causing a lot of stress. What's her first move?
First move, get clarity on that $2,200 number. Second, set up the 3 accounts. So on payday, $2,200 automatically goes to her bills account. Then she commits to automating, say, $200 a month into the sleep well fund.
So that leaves her with $600 for the month in her everyday spending account.
Right. And her first big goal is to get that sleep well fund to $1,000. That's her level 2.
So she's prioritizing that $1,000 buffer before she aggressively attacks the principal on that high interest debt. How does she justify that when she sees that 25% interest rate looming?
She justifies it because behaviorally, the stability is worth the slight mathematical cost. Without that buffer, the next unexpected expense, like a $700 dental bill, would force her to put $700 more back on the credit card.
Wiping out months of progress.
And destroying her motivation. The buffer is the firewall. The moment she hits that $1,000 goal, then she can shift. She keeps the automation going to maintain the buffer, but any extra money she can find goes straight at the high-interest debt because now she's operating from a place of structural safety.
Okay, next up, the couple with a child. They're worried about job stability, higher stakes, higher costs.
Yep. Let's say combined take-home is $5,000 a month, but their level 1 essentials are way higher, around $3,500 because of childcare and housing. Their main anxiety is one of them losing their job.
So their focus has to be level 3, right? Scaling that emergency fund as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Their goal isn't just a small buffer, it's buying time.
Yeah.
So they are aggressively saving towards $3,500, which is 1 month of runway, then $7,000. Their automation would be $3,500 to the bills account, and then an aggressive $500 a month into the Sleep Well fund.
Which leaves them with $1,000 for their everyday spending.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if they get a raise or a bonus, they need a rule to handle it so it doesn't just get absorbed into their lifestyle.
The race split rule.
Yeah. If one of them gets a $300 net raise, half of it, $150, goes straight to increasing their automated savings transfer. The other half can go towards improving their lifestyle a bit. This way, their safety net always grows faster than their spending. And they absolutely need to be looking at level 4 at term life insurance.
Right, to protect the child. And finally, the freelancer with that irregular income swings from $2,000 to $5,000 a month. That's a huge challenge.
It is. For freelancers, the emergency fund has a dual purpose. It's also an income smoothing mechanism. So they actually benefit from a 4-account system.
4 accounts.
A dedicated business income account where all the client payments land, and then their 3 personal accounts.
So the business account acts as a buffer between the volatile income and their personal finances.
Exactly. The key is they have to define a baseline salary for themselves that covers their level 1 essentials. Let's say their essentials are $2,000 a month. They commit to paying themselves exactly $2,000 from their business account into their personal bills account on the 1st and the 15th, like a normal paycheck.
But to do that, they need a really robust emergency fund to draw from in the lean months.
That's the key. In a high-income month, say they bring in $5,000, they pay themselves their $2,000 salary, and then any extra, after setting aside for taxes, goes directly to bolstering that Sleep Well fund. Then, in a low-income month where they only bring in $2,000, they can still pay themselves their consistent salary by drawing from that now substantial fund.
It neutralizes the feast or famine anxiety.
It completely neutralizes it. The fund becomes the shock absorber for income variance.
Okay, we've covered the entire structural plan, but now we have to get into the mental side of things. Because even with a perfect system, if that negative self-talk is still running the show, you're not going to get that sleep well feeling.
This is so important. The trauma and anxiety, they don't just vanish because you set up some accounts. So we have to introduce compassion and a new routine. Most people approach their finances like a painful dental procedure, right?
Total avoidance until the pain is unbearable.
Exactly. We need to replace that avoidance with a gentle, kind ritual.
The weekly money check-in. But you frame it as an act of care, not punishment. How do we set that up for success?
It needs to be short, no more than 10 to 15 minutes once a week, and the environment is critical. Don't do this standing at the kitchen counter while you're trying to do 3 other things.
Make it intentional.
Make it intentional. Find a quiet spot, put on some calming music, make a cup of tea. You're setting your nervous system up for success before you even open your laptop.
And what's the first step before you even look at the numbers?
Take 2 or 3 really deep breaths and repeat a little mantra to yourself. Something like, this is not an emergency. This is just care time. I am taking care of my future self. You're signaling to your body that this is a calm maintenance activity, not a confrontation.
I love that. Okay, so we're calm. What are the 4 specific steps we take during that 15-minute window?
Step 1 is just observation without judgment. Gently open your banking apps and just look at the balances, bills, spending, sleep well. Don't attach any morality to the numbers. They're just data points.
Step 2.
Step 2 is an accountability check. Ask yourself, what absolutely needs to be paid this week? Are there any deadlines coming up that aren't automated? Is anything surprising me? If something is surprising, you just make a note of it. You don't try to solve it right now.
And step 3 is about action.
A tiny action. Step 3 is asking, what is one small, kind, intentional action I can take right now? It could be canceling a $12 subscription, setting a reminder for a bill, increasing your automation by $5. The key is that it's a small, manageable win.
And finally, how do you end the session?
Step 4 is affirmation. You end the 15 minutes with a kind, future-focused statement. I did the work. I know what's happening. I am building safety slowly. Then you close the apps, put the notebook away, and you are done with money for the rest of the week.
That ritual really shrinks the monster, doesn't it? It turns it into this predictable weekly conversation instead of a constant, terrifying presence.
It does. But we still have to deal with the harsh inner voice that can undermine all of it.
Right. The self-talk, the I'm terrible with money, I always screw this up, I'm so far behind.
Those phrases are not motivational. They are paralyzing. They induce shame, which forces you right back into avoidance, and that just perpetuates the whole anxiety cycle.
So we have to rewrite that script, gently but with accuracy.
Exactly. We're replacing shame with agency. So when your inner voice says, I'm terrible with money, the compassionate, truthful response is, I was never taught these systems, but I am learning them now. I am building competency.
That's such a powerful shift.
It is. If the voice says, I'm so far behind, you can counter with, I'm starting later than I wish I had. That's a fact. But I am starting, and starting is the only way forward.
What about, I'll never get out of this debt?
The grounded response is, it is going to take a significant amount of time, and that is okay. But I am making consistent automated payments, and I have a safety buffer, which means I am not going backward today. You're changing your identity from someone who's always behind to someone who is actively building their future safety.
Let's apply that grounded self-talk to those specific 3 a.m. worries. Let's start with the big one. What if I lose my job tomorrow?
The grounded response is, that is a valid fear. I know my level 1 number, so I know exactly how much runway I need. I have my Sleep Well fund, which buys me a few weeks of breathing room. My resume is updated. I have a plan for the next step. I don't have to solve this entire crisis at 3 in the morning.
Okay, next worry. What if a huge medical bill hits and destroys everything?
The grounded response uses your level 4 knowledge. I know my insurance deductible, or I have a plan to find out this week. I am building my buffer to cover that deductible. If a bill comes, I will call the hospital tomorrow, not tonight. Medical bills are negotiable. I am not helpless. There are steps I can take.
And the really immediate one. I'm supposed to pay rent next week, and I'm $500 short.
The grounded response is, first, is that fear, or is that a fact based on the number in my bills account? If it's real, the system is designed to handle this. I will tap my Sleep Well fund to pay the rent on time. Then tomorrow during the day, I will make a plan to replenish the fund. I have a solution that doesn't involve shame or eviction.
It's always about replacing that vague, spinning terror with concrete, grounded action steps.
Action is the antidote to anxiety. Every time.
To really bring this home, let's do a short visualization. Let's help the listener feel what it's like to have even this small amount of safety in place.
I think that's a perfect way to internalize this.
So if you're in a place where you can, I invite you to just take a moment. Feel the weight of your body supported by whatever you're sitting on. Take a slow, deep breath in and a long, slow breath out. Now imagine it's the end of a long week. You lie down to rest. And that familiar anxiety starts to bubble up, asking, is everything okay? But this time, you have evidence. You remember that you wrote down your bare minimum essentials number. You know that number. The terror of the unknown is gone. You can visualize your 3 accounts. The bills account is full, safe. The everyday spending account has enough for the week. And you can see that separate Sleep Well fund quietly growing automatically. You remember your mantra for the week. I am building safety little by little. And you can tell your racing thoughts. The system is running. I checked in this week. I know what's happening. If a small emergency comes up, I have a buffer. I'm not ignoring this. I'm caring for my future self. Just feel that subtle internal shift as the fear is replaced by a quiet, factual confidence. See if you can let your body accept that new evidence. That feeling right there of being able to release a little bit of tension because the structure is sound, that is the essence of Sleep Well money.
That's it. That internal work, combined with the external structure, is the complete path to genuine rest.
Before we wrap, let's just recap the core truths from today.
Okay. Truth 1. Your financial anxiety makes perfect sense. It's tied to survival. You are not broken for feeling it. Truth 2. You don't need to be rich to sleep better. You need clarity, a buffer, and simple automated systems. Truth 3. Consistency beats magnitude. Even $20 a week into that fund is powerful evidence that you are changing your story. Truth 4. You do not have to fix everything at once. Just focus on the next small step on the safety ladder. And truth 5. You are allowed to talk to yourself with compassion. Shame is not a requirement for becoming responsible. You can do this from a place of self-care.
That last point, that's the provocative thought I want everyone to hold on to. You do not have to hate yourself into being good with money. Compassion is actually a more sustainable engine for change.
It creates a virtuous cycle of care instead of a vicious cycle of fear.
Okay, so here is your gentle homework for the next 48 hours. 3 simple actions. 1, write down your best estimate of your bare minimum monthly essentials. Get that level 1 number on paper. 2, open or rename a separate savings account to Sleep Well Fund. And 3, move any small amount into it. $5, $10, $20, whatever you can, and then set up that tiny automatic transfer to repeat every week.
And remember this crucial reframe. When you look at that small balance, instead of thinking it's not enough, I want you to look at it and say, this is my safety and it is growing. That is the new narrative.
That is a profound and necessary truth. Thank you so much for guiding us through this. This was so deeply compassionate and incredibly practical.
Thank you. And truly, I'm just proud of everyone who took the time to sit with us today. You now have the map.
And to you, listening right now, carry this with you. Every time you fund your Sleep Well Fund, you're not just saving money, you are investing in tomorrow's peace of mind. And that is the highest return you can possibly get. We'll see you on the next deep dive.